man, did Maher nail it. He had a little, new rules segment at the end of his show, as he usually does. And he's been on the warpath for 2 weeks now on how Obama isn't being strong enough in pushing his agenda through because this is what we voted for. I couldn't agree more with him. I've said it on the show 100 times, right? But I thought he did a great job here of summarizing exactly what's wrong with not just how Obama's handling things for now, and he could get stronger, and of course Maher acknowledges that as well, but the state of American politics. So let's watch Bill Maher.
He's your president, not your boyfriend. Now, last week in this space, I criticized President Obama for not fighting corporate influence enough, and it made some liberals very angry. My phone rang off the hook, my email filled up, and Nancy Pelosi got so mad her face moved. Look, folks, I like Obama too. I'm just saying, let's not make it a religion. And as far as you folks on the right who think that we're now somehow in league, we're not in league. I was criticizing Obama for not being hard enough on the corporate douchebags you live to defend. I don't want to be on your team. Pick another kid. So I stand by my words, but there is another side to the story, and that is that every time Obama tries to take on a progressive cause, there's a major political party standing in his way, the Democrats. Now, people talk a lot about a third political party in America. We don't need a third party. We need a first party. You go to the polls, and your choices are the guy who voted for the first Wall Street bailout or the guy who voted for the next 10. This week, we're hearing that a public option for health care is unlikely because it doesn't have the support of enough Democrats. Even Ted Kennedy's plan, Ted Kennedy, leaves 37 million uninsured. This is because we don't have a left and a right party in this country anymore. We have a center-right party and a crazy party. And over the last 30-odd years, Democrats have moved to the right, and the right has moved into a mental hospital. So what we have is one perfectly good party for hedge fund managers, credit card companies, banks, defense contractors, big agriculture, and the pharmaceutical lobby. That's the Democrats. And they sit across the aisle from a small group of religious lunatics, flat earthers, and Civil War reenactors who mostly communicate by AM radio and call themselves the Republicans, and who actually worry that Obama is a socialist. Socialist? He's not even a liberal. I know he's not, because he's on TV. And while I see Democrats on television, I don't see actual liberals. And if occasionally you do get to hear Ralph Nader, or Noam Chomsky, or Dennis Kucinich, they're treated like buffoons. Okay, these are not three of the world's most charismatic men, but then nobody's going to confuse Newt Gingrich for Zac Efron, and I have to look at his fat face on TV more often than that free credit report song. Shouldn't there be one party that unambiguously supports cutting the military budget? A party that is straight up in favor of gun control, gay marriage, higher taxes on the rich, universal health care, legalizing pot, and steep direct taxing of polluters. These aren't radical ideas. A majority of Americans are either already for them or would be if they were properly argued and defended. And what we need is an actual progressive party to represent the millions of Americans who aren't being served by the Democrats. Because bottom line, Democrats are the new Republicans.
It's impossible for me to agree more with him. He absolutely nailed it. Look, here's why what he's saying is so important and why we brought it to you here. Because if there's no defense of these arguments that are truly liberal or progressive, then what we'll have is a skewed debate where what used to be the center is presented as left, and what used to be, as he just says, the mental hospitals presented as the right, and they pick somewhere in the middle, but that's not really the middle of the country. Paul Krugman wrote an excellent editorial about it in the New York Times today saying the same thing. And Maher's criticism has built on top of other criticism that's already on the internet and building slowly in the media, not the mainstream media, not TV yet, saying, hey, wait a minute now, the real progressive positions are not at all defended. And then here is a perfect example of it. In healthcare debate, we should be having a debate about single payer, and then you could put the Republicans all the way on the right saying, no, we shouldn't do anything. These health insurance companies are fantastic, and they should continue to make even more profits. And then you could have something like public option in the middle. Whereas now the debate is, well, public option's all the way on the left, and then doing nothing is on the right, so let's pick somewhere in the middle. But that's not the middle. And the polls show that. Now 3 different polls with overwhelming support in the 70s and even 80s in some of the polls, percent of Americans saying that they want the public option. But in the national debate, whether it's politics with the Democrats and Republicans or on television, that's considered the far left. But that's not where the country is. So something's wrong. Something's wrong with our media. Something's wrong with our politics. And we're not truly representing the American people. And I couldn't agree more with him on the Republicans and Democrats. I mean, the Democrats have shifted so far right that they are what used to be, I think, considered the moderate Republicans before. And there is no old Democratic Party left, except for a couple of people like Kucinich and Maxine Waters and a couple of others. And then on the right wing, they have completely confused themselves for a wing of the corporations. They are completely bought and owned by the top corporations in America. You will almost never see a Republican argue for something that isn't in the interest of corporations that already exist. Not capitalism, not free markets, but for corporations that already exist. That is not a healthy debate in the country, and I think Maher is doing an excellent job in pointing it out so that we can get on a better course here. And he's right, we need to have real progressives on television fighting for some of these ideas so we can get sanity back in the debate in this country. Watch the live show at theyoungturks.com.